Oh yeah, right. Just look at that timeless wisdom from the Bible, stoning people, and for basically trivial stuff like heresy or working on the Sabbath. Listen up, Christians. If we're going to take the God of the Bible seriously, we should admit that he never gives us the freedom to follow the commandments we like and neglect the rest. And he also doesn't tell us that we can relax the penalties he imposed for breaking them.
Sam, that's a pretty first-grade understanding of the Bible.
Don't give me that. I see you wearing that polyester shirt, you heathen.
Yeah, sure. Listen. Did you happen to see my vid series on the Old Testament law?
No.
Well, it's got a full response to your ridiculous pick-and-choose complaint. And at the end it says this.
Yeah, so what?
So what? You couldn't exegete your way out of a paper bag with a bazooka is what? Sit down. That's not uncommon, actually. Critics like Sam Harris assume that the laws of the Old Testament function exactly like our own modern statutes, that these are always understood to be literal and binding commands that brook no exception or variation. Consider first some of these listed punishments from Old Babylonian law. In line with Hiller's description, what we find, though, is that these punishments were inconsistent with actual legal practice, and also inconsistent with other laws within the same code. What we find in those other laws is a process called ransoming, the making of a monetary payment to pay for your crime. These laws are the ones that we find in practice are literally acted upon, not the laws like these with harsh physical components.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes, Sam?
Yeah, look here. If they didn't mean for these kinds of laws to be literally enforced, then what were they for? Decoration?
In a way, yes. Actually, these laws served a couple of purposes. One was to make a statement about the seriousness of the offenses. In other cases, they served a sort of ironic and dramatic purpose, which made them easier to remember in a society where most people would hear these laws rather than read them. The basic assumption was still the same, though. It was expected in most cases that a ransom was the real penalty. You can even see this in places of the Bible. Consider Exodus 21, 29, and 30. On the one hand, it literally demands the execution of the offender in a way that brooks no exception, as we would read it. But in the very next sentence it says that a payment can be made. Now in all this, we're not saying that there weren't some exceptions and times when the punishments were carried out literally. Here, for example, in Numbers 35, it specifically forbids allowing a ransom payment. There's also an example here which, as we noted briefly in another vid, was rather a serious act of treasonous rebellion. In cases like these, it would be argued that the act was so serious that the literal punishment was warranted. But it would also be argued that such cases were the exception, not the rule. So there you go, Sam. It's not us who aren't taking the Bible seriously. It's you.
Hey, wait a minute. I got some more complaints.
Yeah, read all these books and get back to me. Goofball.